Well, hello there, everyone. Here, show you right here is like talk about you for free Wi-Fi, and basically this activity right here, this picture right here, basically talks about right here of for free wireless service. And I know I'm sure most of us here have been to locations to where that you would be able to get the wireless free, and basically that it pretty much works is to where you walk into a restaurant or maybe a store. One of those could be like at Walmart, or maybe Office Depot or Best Buy or any store like that, or maybe at any other type of restaurant it is, locations to where that they would have like anything like for free wireless. And I know that if we were to actually do the studies, though, is to where that whenever I'm on my phone, sometimes that I would be able to pick up. It's like if it's going to be a signal, such as if there's wireless available, it would say on there wireless your Wi-Fi available. And if it's not, then it would I guess a lot of times the messages would show you if it was available or if it wasn't available. But I know there are some places where you can get it for free, and if you were to actually be getting it for free, and then they may say is to where that I don't know if it really goes by as to where it's activated automatically, or if you gotta go through that the steps, the processing steps of one of those would be as to where that you would need to what you call that for where you're going to be getting it for free, and then that you may not even have to worry about too much of this security type, and as well as the WPS pin is like for username and password. So this right here will be information right here that have right here is like the stars right here represent like for if it was any type of key entries. So if anybody were warrant to where like free wireless, and I know like especially maybe like the airports and the other public libraries, that movie theaters or anywhere like that they would offer a free Wi-Fi for those who go in there, and customers who go in and shop, and or if they're just what it's kind of like something like, if you want to call it, like if you're there, you're waiting for somebody to get their shopping done while you're there, and then you can go ahead and get on the free wireless. So there are a few places that do offer for free, and we're like Warren to where that some of these locations that you're like Warren to where that some that may ask that there are some locations to where that it should automatically pick us to where that you on the device, especially on the device that you're using, it would show on there as to where that the wireless service that if you actually program the device to like have send like some type of feed to where it'll be able to check if there's wireless available. And some of the wireless service, which I know I get the wireless service here at home, but then on your hand, if I were to be going somewhere, like if I was in the car, maybe going to the mall or somewhere, that they may have it to where it's free, but then they may not have like they may not have the 30 megabytes per second, or maybe the 60 megabytes per second there at the store or so, and think as to where places where you would go. But it may be high speed internet too. I'm like it may be high speed, the wireless may be high speed as well. So you're like wondering to where the difference between DSL and basically it's like with the Wi-Fi is to where it basically works by like you have right here's the key code entries, especially like the security type, and these other codes especially. But you see right here is I have right here for between public and private and home. So if we would be going shopping somewhere, more likely we will be able to use the Wi-Fi, publicly, and then as well as privately. That could also mean, for places like, maybe at home or other places to where that wireless service is what you call is not shared your networking or so. It's like, so you're gonna have like, let's say if you want to call it an own you're gonna have a connection. The connection may work just a little bit different, but there may be a number of ways of how we describe free Wi-Fi, but I describe right here, and I know that I have marked right here, or like if this was right here was, if anybody can see this right here, if this was right here was like a tag of some sort. So if like this was right here was like a barcode right here, and and I know that most devices that you're going to be using for, like if it's going to be for free Wi-Fi, that if you're going to be getting it at home or somewhere, maybe if you were to go to a library or maybe the post office, and they may give you like a a tag or something like that, or maybe a device that where you can connect to the wireless as well. But on the other hand, that but you see right here is to where that with this right here will be like, say, like a security. Like to say if this was like maybe something related to like maybe like a security ID, and so that it has right here between numbers and letters right here 1 2 3 4, and then MTTWQ. MTTWQ I was also think about is to where like a short synonym to where that question for the teacher or something like that. but but let's just say that yeah, at that right there was like anything maybe related to like a security question, like for MTTQ, MTTWQ for like let's say that your last time that you last visited this location, and they ask you maybe like a security question to where if you're going to be going in that your certain location, you just use the free wireless, and then they say it's like well, how's the weather like over there, son? So you're going to have it to where that if you go somewhere and they may ask, just for security purposes, that for like an ID or some sort, that they may ask you to use like a security key, and it could also be like maybe a pin or some sort. So this right here, that it seems like a lot of trouble just to be able to get on just to get connected to the wireless networking. And I know since I was a kid that this more I could be, and anybody probably say that yeah, in the waiting rooms, especially the doctor's offices, especially to where that you had the magazines and papers or whichever to look at, maybe TV to watch. But really that if all people like say about were working with the clicker on the remote control sometimes was it could be complicated too, but using this wireless service. And I know, like anybody, that they may want to where they, yeah, like free Wi-Fi, and if you'll be going anywhere, that they're gonna have it to where like free wireless, and they're gonna maybe say is to where it's free, and then for knowing about and it may not be guaranteed to be a real high fast real high super speed internet also, but we learned to where that there are some places where you can go where you can get free wireless, and sometimes we're like worried that, especially if you're going to be getting it at home too. And I know, like with me, a lot of times I keep thinking about this to where that whenever I leave home for any reason, if it's going to be what you call go shopping or going anywhere around town, and like in the car especially, and if I don't have the wireless, it's like in the car, and knowing about places where I can go just to be able to get wireless. And I know that sometimes a lot of people probably think is to where that that they're using they have it at home, but then knowing about whenever they go somewhere go shopping somewhere of some sort, maybe like at the mall or somewhere like that, that they would also have wireless there, but then the way you connect may just be a little bit different, or that it says you're using a different wireless service. So I know the devices that we use usually say about where the wireless connection, where the service is coming from. And then let's just say if you have the wireless at home, but then while you're on the device, that basically that it could also have to the program is the device that you're using is trying to connect to a networking. It may just be a little bit different from what you're getting at home or anywhere else, and so that's why that is something that may say is that that's why you may see maybe some interference, and then maybe that some that may say you can't really tell the difference at all. Just thinking about it, it's like free wireless. Okay, yeah, yeah, that you may go somewhere where you don't even have to worry about the username and password as well as security type. That really that I so I know that like free wireless that they might say is to where that there are some places where you won't you won't even have to worry about a lot of the stuff right here. So this is SSID. So the way I think about it is that if I can really explain about why I think that the differences between these is to where that that they give you like a little card or some sort, like if you're going to have access to the wireless, maybe at the library or maybe at home. And I guess they basically say to where like private. I guess for maybe what I have at home, more likely is more likely like a private connection. And I know like with anybody, especially if you're going to be paying for it, I guess it's like a private connection. Like something to be access to at home, but then on publicly, if like access to it publicly, and you're like wanting to where that there are some locations to where you don't even have to worry about all that stuff. You just got it's like knowing about that your device, if that service is not going to be available or so, but and then more likely that we might see is to where if we see a difference or not, or if we had to reprogram our device to where had to go to the settings, I guess the control settings, and then the program to where it would check for any wireless available. But the way I think about that is to where we weren't to where like free wireless, and you're like weren't to where that yeah, that there are some places, quite a few places even around town, that they say that the wireless is free. So you're like weren't to where that yeah, that at the time that if anybody were warned to where that you go someplace and think about the number, a few things that may not be free also, and you're like, well, what about the printer ink and then the toner? And it's like, well, it's the paper. I'm like, but you may be at some locations to where it may not be free, or it may just be what you call affordable. It's only maybe a few cents or so, but still, that quite a few places that even offer it, and some people that may say is like, I don't know what it is, but okay, thanks for telling me anyway. But let's just say that on average, to where that those who do know a little bit about it as well, and like with me though, is that I know that if I were to be going to some locations, and then think it is to where if I would be like on a laptop or something like that, and you're like warranted to where that yeah, that like free wireless, and or you go somewhere where there's wireless and it's bringing you up to a menu or so where you got to type in the key entries or so. But the see right here is this right here is example right here of like if anybody were to ask, it's like whenever you connect to a wireless, you connect to wireless between the dial-up and then the DSL, that we may be used to what you call the Ethernet, and then the DSL connections, as well as with all the other connection jacks between connecting it to the landline, and then working with the Ethernet port also, as to where especially on the modem. Most of us are pretty used to what you call working with the modem, but like working with these connections, these settings right here. So I guess that with like if anybody will warrant toward it, yeah, that which one more likely represents the Ethernet port, and I'm thinking that more likely is that you're like warrant toward, well, really that if it's maybe the PIN or maybe security type. But I keep, and I also me want to mention too about the Magic Jack amp, because I know that like with the Magic Jack amp that I don't have all the details right here, but we actually can actually download the amp to your smartphone, or you can have that available on your phone, and then you'll be able to share your information, like if it's contact numbers or anything like that, with somebody like hey, do you want to connect? So I know with like Magic Jack though, that we're like to a Magic Jack that's going to be using the internet especially. So let's just say that if my ID was like something like MTTWQ, and it would maybe say something like for the the state or the country I was in especially, and if anybody were warranted toward it, yeah, that for like the wireless connection also, and thinking about is toward it, yeah, that so I know some people that they may say is toward it that if they're going to have like access to like Skype, or maybe if they're going to be on Facebook or somewhere, and thinking necessarily toward it that they go somewhere publicly just to be able to access to the to the web browsers. And I know that the World Wide Web, and some that may say, oh no, they get it at home, and really that I don't know if even the park or recreation centers even offer it or so, but on the other hand, that you have right here is like I talk about, I can also include this right here is if anybody were wanting to where the that for like the state the state of Missouri, especially in thinking necessarily to where the for the state of Missouri. And the way I think about it though is like really that for any location for anywhere you're going to be, where anywhere in the U.S. or Canada or somewhere that you're going to have it to where that there's going to be what you call now it's like the state from where you're going to be located at, especially. So a lot of stuff right here that maybe not everybody knows necessarily about how to work all of it. So you're like orientor that what's this all this right here, the SSID pin, and it's both security type, and it's like have right here is like that usually it's not really all of it is 16 digits, but some of it could only be about maybe 4 or 5 digit long pin to enter whenever you're connecting to the network, especially at home, especially. So if anybody were warned to where that you're gonna have where you live, you're gonna be paying for the wireless, to have the wireless there, and maybe if there's gonna be a neighbor that may have the have the wireless, and as well as anybody else that you're gonna be going visit somebody, and family relatives, or if it's friends, and then they may have the wireless there also. And thinking necessarily to where really can people tell the difference between like knowing about whenever you get on the web, and then thinking that well it says that the wireless is available. Okay, well it says it's not available, or it's available now. So a lot of stuff right here, if we actually do the study about it and thinking about it, is to where that we may think that almost anywhere we go that we're going to get the free wireless, free Wi-Fi. And I guess some that may say that that's true, but then some that may say no. I'm like, if you're going to be like locations like maybe out in the country, out in the woods or somewhere, but really that I I really don't think that there's wireless that runs by satellite. And thinking about as to where if anybody wonders as to where next source of technology could possibly be, is to where they have it to where that like something kind of like something that would display kind of like this right here. It would be like a little plastic a little electronic card that you can keep in your wallet or a purse. And some that may say that it's like it may just what you call it may look just like a piece of plastic, plastic tab, and it's like about maybe had the size of a credit card, and you will be able to keep that in your wallet. And basically that it means is to where that anywhere you're going that you would provide the wireless service. So you're like wanting to where if you're going to be especially maybe outdoors, and if anybody wanted to where especially if you're going to be out at sea, if you're going to be out maybe at the lake or somewhere like that, or maybe around town, and thinking about is to where anywhere where there's going to be wireless, anywhere more likely where there's going to be a roof over your head. And I don't know if anybody's thinking that way, is to where anybody, anywhere where there's going to be like a closed in rooms, to where like in the office areas, to where that they would have the free Wi-Fi. And so that's just a thing that if anybody were to do studying about this, is that thinking about is to where that anywhere where you go that there's going to be free wireless. And thinking is to where that if there's like any device that they give you, or if they say that it should what you call search automatically, or your device would be able to pick up the wireless networking, just by what you call getting on device, and it would say if it's available or not. And then which I don't even have a laptop, so I wouldn't know about how it would work. But I guess I'm assuming that there would be like a message or like a control panel security options that would automatically come up, and it would say is to where that wireless services are available in this area, and it would ask you to select it, whichever one of your choice. and then it would say like to where it goes through like security, the setup options as well. So let's just say that one of these days, if I had to provide like say like a security pin for like if it contains maybe about 8 different numbers, and as well as maybe about 15 different letters of some sort, and like say MTTWQ, and yeah, my security pin will be MTTWQ 5587, something like that. And people are saying, oh, okay, well, there's wireless service available, within, we'll go ahead and search within the 100 or so feet, or maybe there's about 4 or 5 blocks away that there's wireless there, like you're able to pick up wireless at this location. So that's just the thing that with a lot of our devices that you have right here, that I'm like, I guess maybe most wireless services would work a little bit different. But on the other hand, that I keep thinking of is to where that, yeah, you have access to it at home, and yeah, you're paying for it at home on your hand too. But if you go somewhere where it's free, so it may be about the same thing, but like where to where that it's about maybe 60 megabytes per second from the same thing that you may get at home. But some that may say is to where what about the security type, and as well as the WPS. And so I guess basically that I am pretty sure that basically means is to where this might allows you to where you have like your own connection there at home, compared to if you would be going to like any office areas, hospitals, doctors' offices, to where they may have the free Wi-Fi, but then they may think about it to where the connection may just be like work just a little bit differently also. But really, I guess that really all depends on where you are, huh? But on the other hand, that with like this free free Wi-Fi though, is that some that may warrant to where that for the wireless service that you pick up at the certain locations, especially about your information. Does that basically mean you may hear about it to where if you're going to be taking your laptop to a certain location, and thinking anything maybe from the Creative Cloud, or anything from your SkyDrive, anything about your personal files, could other people have access to this stuff, if you're going to be going to the hospitals or medical labs or maybe the stores, and could possibly that they could not have that antivirus protection, the same thing that you have at home. They could not have that same security settings as that they have at the store. They may even say that they don't they are not responsible for that, for keeping your information safe. If you go somewhere and thinking that your file was hacked into or anything like that, and then they may say that that's with this free wireless, but then which they may say, they might say is that depending on the device that you're using, it would already have like a security program, malware, like installed to where that it would tell you as to where that there's a virus. And I know, like with anybody, if they were actually do the research and think as to where like a smartphone and an iPhone 5, I'm like that for security, I'm like, do you think that that phone could maybe download a virus, especially? I'm like that there's anything about infections or anything like that comes into the files. But if we were actually do the study about that and thinking as to where that yeah, I'm like, but still that I just really think though is to where that like with any phones, is that if you're gonna be like that if you're not gonna be you might download a few softwares or so, but still I really just think it works just a little bit different compared to the PC and Mac especially. But anyway, but on the other hand, I like doing other types of research, especially, but talk about for free Wi-Fi, places where you go, just to be able to get the free wireless, and you're like, what, between public locations as well as for private locations like home, and you're like thinking about as to where that there's going to be places where you go to where you'll be able to use that wireless service, and it comes out pretty good. But then some that may say is that there may be some times where it's going to be slow, there may be some times where other people are connecting to that. So sometimes I know, like with that, almost everybody is to where that if you go in and thinking that you want to have, you want to connect to wireless service that's it's going to be available and it's going to be reliable, especially if you're going to be using it for maybe meetings or maybe interviews online or so, something like that, and thinking that, well, hey, that like that, but still that the places where I go and some that may learn to where if they can really tell the difference, because especially on their phones, that if they're able to pick up a service tower and then so people who go to work that they're like worried to where they hey that free wireless is available, and sometimes I'm like that so I guess that basically means is to where that it gives you maybe better a little bit stronger service. So if you're going to be at a certain area of the building and then maybe you're in a lower floor and a higher floor, and thinking as to where that they may say that wireless is service tower, your service is not available, but then wireless is available. So if we're going to be working in some buildings where if you're going to be maybe on the 10th or maybe the 15th floor or so, on one of those what you call those big tall buildings, and you're like Warren to where if the wireless is going to be about the same. So think as to where that if you're going to be in a certain location of the building where service is going to be pretty poor, and thinking is that if your wireless is available, if you'll be able to stay connected, but they may say is that that wireless signal may be a little bit stronger too, but still that they say that try to be somewhere where you have a real strong signal as well. But anyway, where you can get service especially. But talk about say for free wireless, and if anybody warns us to where that doesn't cost anything necessarily, and I'm like, well, if anything, on average, that we're paying about maybe $10 a year for it at the most, something like that. I'm like, that whenever you go to the store, especially with our tax money or some sort, you're like Warren to it. There's a cost to this, but I'm thinking about it to where it really, I'm like that they whenever say the places where you go to, they say it's free and it shouldn't cost anything other than that to where that if you're going to be getting on there and taking it to where if you're going to be somewhere for a certain period of time, then they may charge you a little extra, but still that it's like depending on where you would go, that like the airports or somewhere that they may say is the way it is, there's no cost of that, but on the other hand that there may be a cost maybe to something else, and one of those would be is toward it, that like if it's going to be interview or some sort, but on the other hand that really, that for almost any anything about if it's going to be application fees or any type of fees or anything like that, anybody that may warrant or that well wireless is free, but that don't mean that the whole time what you call the whole processing is going not going to be free either. There may be costs of that too, but just knowing about it is to where that just for whatever that needs to be done, especially so I know like with anybody that especially like the tax offices to where they may have, they're going to have the free wireless there, and thinking necessarily to where that, you spend about maybe 2 or 3 hours there making sure that getting things updated, and they may say that there's like what you call a service charge, just for what you call accessing to that information, maybe a certain time of the year, anything like that. But anyway, but talk about right there is like talk about for free Wi-Fi, and I like have right here. So you say with me right here in the American flag. It's like for MTTWQ, like here for question for the teacher or question for the manager or anything like that. And MMA 25, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.